YouTube? This is Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters, here for LinuxMusicStudio.com. Today I just have a little quick video for you. I just got home from work and I was just thinking of this, and it's probably something that some of you want to know about. And that is, what version or what distro of Linux do I use these days for recording music? And to put it quite simply, I just use plain old Ubuntu. Vanilla Ubuntu. I don't use anything fancy like Ubuntu Studio or the KX repositories or anything like that. These days I'm running Ubuntu 18.04.1 LTS, long-term support, and I'm very happy with it. Everything works the way it should. I don't think there's any extra repositories that I've installed, maybe for something, a game or something, I can't remember, but nothing major. But I do a couple of tweaks, and I wanted to go over those here just real quickly to show you guys what I do to tweak my system to use it the way I want to. The first thing that I like to do is install all of the audio plugins that I like to use, and I don't, like I said, I don't use Ubuntu Studio, but I do use the Ubuntu Studio plugins, and they're right in the regular old Ubuntu repositories. So to do that, you're just going to do sudo apt update, and then sudo apt install. And notice I'm not doing apt get. This is just, I don't know. You don't have to do apt-get. The reason why I always did apt-get before, and what I mean by that is apt-get, is because I'm kind of old school, and the older versions of apt, you had to type it that way, but now you don't. So I'm kind of break my habit on not doing the get part of apt-get and just doing apt. Because apt, if you do apt, it kind of shows you some different info too, which is kind of nice. So I do both. But anyway, back on topic here. What I'm going to do after the update is install the Ubuntu Studio. I think this is what they're called. Ubuntu Studio plugins. I think there's a hyphen. Plugins. Oh, no, it's not coming up. What am I doing? Oh, I misspelled it. That would do it. Studio plugins. Maybe it's together. I might have to search this. Okay, yeah, I'm done. Maybe the tab doesn't work because I have the other sentence there. So let's just search it first. apt-get. All right, let's just try apt search. Let's get out of the apt-get. Apt search Ubuntu Studio plugins audio. Okay, so it already tells me that it's installed, but the actual package that you would install is listed right there. And that's another thing about just doing apt. It just tells you that it's installed already. So as opposed to if I were to type apt-get or apt-cache search Ubuntu Studio plugins audio. And it just shows you that, like, the name of the plugin or the name of the package, but it doesn't show me that it's installed. So there is an advantage right there of just using sudo or apt search rather than apt cache search. So, but anyway, back on topic. To install it, what you'd want to do is sudo apt update and or ampersand, and then sudo apt install Ubuntu Studio audio plugins, and then just press enter, ask for your password, and it's updating first, and then when it goes to install it, it's going to tell me I already have it, which we know. But yeah, so the reason why I like Ubuntu, I know there's a lot of people out there these days that like Mint, Linux Mint, and I tooled around with it a bit, but to me, Ubuntu, even though sometimes the packages aren't totally cutting edge on the LTS versions. To me, it's just the most stable. And in addition to that, most software that, software, for example, like right here, I have Traction Waveform 9. And don't worry, we're going to be doing some tutorials on this one pretty soon. And this is some great software. But this is one that's a commercial software. And they do have a Linux version. But it's, it's basically only geared towards Ubuntu. So, like, you probably could get it to run on something else. But, at least if it were Debian-based. I think it'll run on Debian, too. But and Raspbian, the older version, I think runs on Raspbian for Raspberry Pi. But, yeah, like most stuff that's, like, available on, like, Mac, Windows, and Linux, it's going to run on Ubuntu. And it's not going to run on a lot of those other things, especially ones that aren't Debian-based. And I just think it's, as far as like finding answers to problems, there's so many Ubuntu users that like you can search and usually find your answer online if you're lost. So I really like it for that reason. And I'm just really happy with, overall, like the ease of use of everything. It's just, I think it's a great distribution. And especially since 1804, when they stopped using Unity and switched over to GNOME, I used to always install a different desktop manager instead of, the default Unity, because I really didn't like Unity. And even though the visual style, they kept pretty much the same, but GNOME just seems to work so much better than Unity did. And I've been very happy with it as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all. I usually install the Ubuntu Studio audio plugins. Sometimes I do the video ones. I don't think I did that yet on this system. I also installed the Pulse Audio Jack Sync client. And I think, did I show that? I think I showed that in another video. But what that does is that enables you to use Jack and Pulse Audio at the same time. And if you're not familiar with all, well, you should be, but if you're watching this channel. But if you're not familiar with all that stuff, be sure to check out my Jack and Pulse Audio ALSA explanation video. And it talks about all of that. But and I think I mentioned the Pulse Audio Jack Sync in there. But if you're wondering about that, I might as well show it here too. I think the name of that package, I always forget the names, but let me just search it again. App search. Oops. It's like Pulse Audio Module Jack, I think. Yeah, so it's just that. Just Pulse Audio Module Jack right here. Oops. With the hyphens. And if you install that, after you install Jack and QJack control, if you're running Ubuntu 18.04, you don't need to do anything else to get it to work. You just install it, and then the next time you start Jack, it just starts right up. It works perfectly. And that's another really good thing with Ubuntu. They have a lot of the stuff that most people want to use, even for audio, just working pretty much perfectly right out of the box after you install it. Oh, and I forgot to mention the whole advantage of using the low latency kernel. And, oh, I didn't even talk about that. What am I talking about? Sorry, I just got out of work. The other thing that I install, aside from the plugins, is I install the low latency kernel. So to do that, you want to install this, which is apt install Linux kernel, oops, or I'm sorry, Linux image, low latency, and then press enter, and I can't spell apparently. Oh, I put a hyphen in there, that's why. So something's running already, but oh, geez, I'm really out of it right now. Anyway, you have to do sudo. So once it does that, but it tells me it's already the newest version because I already have it. But the low latency kernel, it's basically is what it sounds like. It makes your audio performance much better. I can get really, really low latency on this computer. This is the Dell 5000 gaming computer. And the performance I get on this computer, especially with the low latency kernel, is amazing. It's the best that I've ever had, actually, on any Linux computer running audio. Like, I get pretty much no latency at all. I mean, it's like down to like 5 milliseconds or something like that. It's really, really good. So, yeah, I mean, that's those couple of things, and then just a standard stock Ubuntu 1804 LTS. That's my preferred distribution, at least at this time. So anyway, that's pretty much all, and thanks for watching. If you found this video educational or helpful, click that like button and please subscribe. And if you want, you can check out my Patreon page, which is just linuxmusicstudio.com/ or patreon.com/linuxmusicstudio. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great night, everybody.